Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have another town in Maine that's banning cruise ships, but taking it to the extreme level, if you will, on this. We also have cruise lines coming out and warning passengers about balcony behavior that is common practice. Common practice. I see it everywhere I go, on every cruise line, and they're saying they're cracking down on people doing it, and it might affect you on your next cruise. And then we also have a slowdown. Believe it or not, some good news and some hope that prices might start dropping in the cruise industry going forward. A tiny hope. So Carnival Cruise Line has come out and is basically warned a few people and sent out some messages about the do's and don'ts of balconies. And one of the biggest basically sins. Now I know when I say balconies, not to do things on the balcony, things people come up with right away are don't smoke on your balcony, right? And people flaunt those rules all the time. But one of the most common things people do is to leave their wet clothes out on the balcony. It's also one thing to do it, say, on a port day when the ship's not moving, it's not windy, and you put your stuff on the balcony to dry off. And it's a completely other thing if you're actually on the move out at sea. But even if you put them out during a port day, and what happens if you forget them, there's a high probability and a chance that some of these things will blow into the ocean, blow onto other people's balconies. Some people put up clotheslines on their balcony and hang the whole thing. Meanwhile, in your bathroom, pretty much in every shower I've ever gone in a cruise ship, they have a clothesline in there. You just string it across and you can hang your wet clothes in the bathroom. I know it doesn't dry as fast as it would in the warm Caribbean sun, but it also won't get into the ocean that way. And they're warning people that they're going to be informing their cabin stewards and everything to take things from people's balconies and place them back in the room. And so if you put a bunch of wet clothes out and towels and bathing suits out in the balcony and you go away and you come back and they're piled on your couch still dripping wet, don't blame the room steward. That was a corporate decision made by the cruise line. So keep that in mind going forward. Well, another town in Maine has decided to go the same route as Bar Harbor. We know Bar Harbor has limited their cruise ship's capacity to 1,000 passengers, and they have been in court ever since they made these decisions, both from the people of the town suing the town and the cruise ships and the workers and the businesses, etc. They've been nothing but in court. Well, another town council has just voted 5-0 to limit the cruise ships in their, they call them large cruise ships in their town, the town of Belfast, Maine. However, they've really taken it to an extreme to get rid of the cruise ships in there because they have limited the cruise ship capacity to 50 passengers. That's right, 50 passengers, which means most ferries across the United States and Canada that traverse any kind of waterway to get from one place to the other may not qualify for this ban from the town in Maine, citing safety concerns, economics, and environmental impact, etc. A bunch of all the same, buzzwords that town councils use every time they go in to talk about cruise ships or anything they want to basically get rid of, right? But the one thing is that they only had really one cruise line going into this, and it was American Cruise Lines, the American-owned River Cruise Company in the United States. And they have about 21 ships in their fleet, ordered more. And their ships range from 90 passengers to 180. So we're not talking an Oasis class ship coming into Maine. We're not talking about even a small Carnival ship coming into Maine or a Viking ocean cruise ship coming. We're talking about a ship that may hold 90 passengers or 180 passengers, and they just don't want the cruise ships there anymore. The trouble is, some of the townspeople are a little split on this. Some of them saying, oh, this is a good thing. We don't want to we don't want to see strip malls, and we don't want to see shopping malls go up and highways and all this other thing like Florida. We just want to keep us a quaint little town. In other words, they don't want growth in the town. They want to just keep it a small town, which I can understand if you come from a small town, live in a small town. The chances of Belfast, Maine becoming Florida is very, very slim, folks. Let's just put it that way. It's not going to become Fort Lauderdale or Miami, but yeah, I don't remember. Other people in the town have also come out and said, you know what, this could hurt a bit of business coming into town and everything. I know a lot, many of the cruise ship passengers dine at the restaurants, buy coffees, buy things in the stores. And so it may be a little bit of an economic hit for some of the local businesses there. Yeah, a total of 14 stops, folks. 14 stops were scheduled in 2025 for cruise ships, totaling a whopping 14 days out of 365 days. And that's what the council decided to go after to make their town safer, folks. The problem for me is I don't remember them taking this to a vote other than the city council vote. I don't remember, having a referendum of any kind, putting it on a ballot of any kind for the residents of that area or the businesses of that area, but I'm not in the loop. This kind of came out of left field. But yep, even our smallest cruise lines in America are now being banned in Maine, and I'm wondering what's going to happen if the lawsuits get overturned in Bar Harbor, if that'll affect Maine, Belfast as well. And finally, let's talk about the possibility that cruising is slowing down. So we all know 2020, 2021 were very bad for the cruise years. And finally in 2022, things started to pick up a little bit. More cruise lines were bringing back their ships, bringing back a lot more crew. And there was a huge jump in cruise ship passengers into 2023. So large that it rose 41%, folks, from the previous year. So almost half as many cruisers were cruising again in 2023 compared to 2022. And then there was a solid 2024 growth of 7.9% the following year, which is tremendous, right? That's a really good growth if you're a travel industry at all. And you 7.9, and now in 2025, it looks like cruising is going to grow by about 4.7% this year, based on companies like AAA, and they are usually pretty darn accurate in their estimates on travel, the way things are going to travel throughout the year. They even take into account the holidays during the year and what days are going to be busier, and if Christmas comes on a week and it's busier than during a weekday, so more people travel, that kind of thing, and they know all this kind of stuff. So you can see that the trend has gone from 41 to 7.9 to 4.7. It's on its way down, and one of the contributing factors to that is more likely the pricing and the high cost of cruising right now, more than anything else that's going out there. People are saying that they just, it's not as big a value as cruising used to be, and so if they can't find a deal, they'll just put off the cruise until another time, or they'll sail cheaper. They'll sail inside cabin instead of a balcony. They'll stay in a balcony instead of a mini suite or a smaller suite. They'll also cut back on things like drink packages, etc. on the ship, cut back on their shore excursions, which will all hit the company's bottom line. Remember, all the major cruise lines have now announced large-scale buying operations for many, many more new ships. Yet I don't hear of too many of them getting rid of their older ships at the current time. But if the traveling trends continue the way they say they're going to in 2025 and then maybe 2026, drop even less than 4%, then you might start to see them start to sell off some of their older products. And that's when some passengers are possibly going to be disgruntled as well. What happens if they sell your favorite ships or your type of ship you like to sail on? I like to sail on the small Carnival ships or the smaller Royal Caribbean ships, but those are the ones they're going to sell off. They're not going to sell off the Oasis class ships. They're not going to sell off the Quantum class ships. You may lose some passengers there. So you may actually see some drop in cruising in 2026. And what I'm hoping all this means is you're going to see some drops in prices for 2026 and then 2027. At least that's what we can hope. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.